Last year I was prescribed a cannabis strain that completely ruined me. It wasn't just a bad high, it was brain fog. I couldn't even finish sentences. My friends noticed, my girlfriend was worried, and I even had people at work ask if I was okay. It really did feel like I was slipping away, and for a while I thought I had to ride it out. And I was scared that if I said anything, I may have my medical cannabis taken away. But before I get into it, please leave a like, drop a comment, and if you want to, consider subscribing. It helps me a ton. Thank you so much. So what is this strain, I'm sure you're thinking, and I'll tell you. It was Zha Apple's. Now, Zha Apple is an indica-dominant hybrid developed by Ethos Genetics. So shout out Etho, I guess. And it's a cross between Plant Man Jack and Ethos Glue. It has around 22% THC and less than 1% CBD. But Zha Apple has a really interesting flavor profile. And it's a cannabis strain that I think is really correctly named because it really does have a very tart smell to it, like green Granny Smith apple, with also faint notes of diesel. And that's very unique, and it's nothing like I've really had in a cannabis strain before. Like, I know diesel is a very common smell for cannabis to be compared to, but the tartness of apple is something that I've never experienced before, and it is very unique. And if you ever have an opportunity to try some, I do encourage you to try some. And the terpenes, for anybody who's interested, include. So after I got my first bag of Zha Apple and opened it up and had my smooth lizard brain blown by the tart smell, everything was pretty smooth sailing for the first maybe like 10 days, I would say. But definitely after around 2 weeks, I started to notice that something wasn't quite right. I would have these very strange, I guess, almost like absences. And this is when I wasn't high. So this is during the day when I don't usually vape. I would just kind of freeze up and almost have like depersonalisation. And I just was not very attached to my body. And yeah, everything kind of just stood still and I couldn't think. My brain was on like permanent dial-up. I'd just be like midway through a conversation and I would just stop. I would just kind of freeze and go, My brain just couldn't work out what to do next. Like, I was still conscious and with the world, but my brain just wouldn't know what to do next. It would take like all my willpower just to snap myself back to the conversation to be able to essentially carry on. And at first I thought it could be a few things. I thought it was stress because there were a lot of life changes going on in my life at that time. I was also not sleeping particularly great, and I was between ADHD medication. But it happened a few times and I just kind of was like, okay, we'll just see how things go for the moment. But then it happened in front of my girlfriend and she asked, is everything okay? Like, that was really strange. And I think in just my general day-to-day life, I must have been a bit off, because I also had two friends ask if is everything okay, because something doesn't seem right, and that's not common for them, or at least they don't tell me that in person. And my manager at work also pulled me aside one day just to check in and ask is everything okay, because they had noticed that I was a bit quieter than usual. So it got to a point where I was like, right, something needs to happen. And at the time, the biggest change that I had was my prescription of cannabis, and it was the Zha Apple. And I was a bit unsure what to do, so I called Curaleaf and I spoke with one of their receptionists who were amazing, explained what was going on and kind of how I was feeling, and they said, yep, that doesn't sound right, you'll need to speak with one of our clinicians. And of course I was a bit nervous. I was like, oh, the thoughts of what's happening, like what's going on, this must be really bad if I'm having to make an emergency call with one of their clinicians. So what the receptionist actually did was move my original 3 months check-in with a clinician forward, and they managed to actually find me an appointment the next day to speak with someone, which was amazing. I think this was just a coincidence. I don't know if it's actually that easy for them to move an appointment to the next day, but nonetheless, I was exceptionally grateful. That night I was a little bit nervous, and I won't lie to you, I was a bit nervous of a few things. One, the points I mentioned earlier, and two, the fact that I was a little bit worried that they may take my cannabis prescription away from me full stop, which the thought did bum me out a little bit because cannabis has been very influential in my life. So the day of the appointment, I guess, I spent a little bit of time trying to write down all the times and the dates that I remember these strange like absences happening, and just writing down all the other sort of side effects that weren't great. So in the call with the clinician, they were really great. We basically just spoke about kind of the prescription, how long I'd been taking it for, how much, like how many grams a day, and then we just spoke about these absences, kind of what they were like. I think they just wanted to rule out seizures, which they were pretty adamant that it wasn't. And then they just hypothesized what the problem could be. And they were pretty adamant that it was the type of cannabis, like the hybrid itself, and the fact that it may have been a little bit too strong, which makes sense because I'm a little bit of a lightweight when it comes to most substances. I can smell alcohol and I'll wake up with a hangover the next day. So the immediate thing that they said we need to do is for me to come off that strain. I asked if they were going to take me off cannabis completely, and they said at this stage they wanted to reassure me that they want to try a lower strength strain and see how that goes, and then we can discuss. And the clinician was amazing. They were really supportive, caring, understanding. They could probably sense that I was a little bit nervous. And then this is when something quite pivotal happened. They prescribed me Lavender Cake. Now, I won't go into detail too much, but I've got a full video which you can check out here of me raving about Lavender Cake because I love it so much. And then I would say probably after around 14-15 days, I was completely back to normal. I felt myself again. I didn't have any absences. And even to this day, over a year later, I've not had any of this strange side effect from any of the cannabis strains that I've tried. Now, maybe you're watching this and thinking, well, that sounds like something that I'm going through, or maybe that you have got a strange side effect. Here's a few things that I've learned that may be beneficial for you. The first is just listen to your body. You know yourself the best. If something really doesn't feel right, then it probably isn't, and don't just dismiss it and think, it's just part of the high. Good strain should help you be able to function in all aspects of your life, and just have an awareness of where these aspects can come from. It can be brain fog, mood changes, anxiety spikes, tension headaches. These can all be red flags. Something that I wish I did at the time is just keep a little journal log. I do wish that I had the exact dates and times that these absences happened, but I just didn't think to do that at the time because the clinician really needed these to make more of an informed decision. But I also think in general it's good to keep a log. You can keep a list of the strains that you've tried, what you liked about them, what you didn't, and this helps because cannabis strains are always going in and out of stock. So if your normal prescription goes out of stock, you know which strains that you've liked and tried before. The next is don't be afraid to speak to your doctor or clinician. This is a really big one. I know the fear can be quite intimidating, especially if you're worried that they will take your prescription away. They really are there to help, and they know best that every cannabis strain is different and may impact you differently, so they're there to try and find out what works rather than what doesn't. So if something isn't right, definitely send your clinician a message, call them, request a review, but don't just sit and suffer. And finally, don't wait too long. If you're on week 3 or 4 and things are just getting worse and not better, things are probably not just going to magically improve. And it may be time just to have a quick chat with your clinic just to check in to make sure that everything is okay. I also think it's important to say that it's definitely not your fault. It's okay if things aren't going right or working well for you. Each cannabis strain is very different and each will impact you equally differently. And this whole journey is just about finding what works best for you, and that can take time, unfortunately. So yeah, this is basically what happened when I took a strain that basically ruined me. I appreciate you listening to my rambling, and I hope that it's helped. If you're comfortable in doing so, it'd be great to hear your experience with strains that may have not worked well for you and what happened. I'm sure it will help others who are watching. But if you did find this video helpful, do give it a like, and again, I really do appreciate you watching. Thank you. Take care. Hello, I hope you're well. I thought I'd do a ramble at the end of this video because in true ADHD fashion, I wrote a script for this video, then thought I'd lost it, wrote a new one, and in doing so, I forgot to add loads of key points, and then I found my original script, so yeah, we're here now. But a key point that I should have made in the actual main script is that each cannabis strain will impact you very differently, and it just had an adverse effect on me personally, and if you try it, you'll probably have a completely different experience to what I experienced. So please don't watch this video and think, I can't try Zha Apple's. No, it's definitely not this kind of video. This video was basically me just trying to show that you can have adverse effects on medical cannabis and what you should do if you are experiencing them. And again, I am a massive lightweight, and I know that there'll be people in the comments who are like, bruh, 22% or whatever it is nothing. But we're all different and we all have different tolerances, and that's okay. But yeah, I thought I'd do a short ramble just to clarify a few things. But thank you so much again for watching the video. And again, I just want to shout out everybody who's liked, commented, and just viewed my content recently. I took a year-long break, and I changed the type of content that I post. It's still medical cannabis and kind of my experiences through the journey of mental health, essentially. But yeah, I've gone faceless, and everybody has been fantastic, and everybody's so chill in the comments. Like, it's really amazing, and I just really appreciate you. Thank you so much.